Once again, Trump has set his sights on Greenland. This isn't the first time. He floated the idea years ago. But this time it feels different. This time, he has refused to rule out the use of military force. And that has sent shockwaves across Europe and beyond. Some believe he's just posturing, trying to pressure NATO allies to spend more on defense. And that may be part of it. But beneath the noise, there are serious strategic reasons why the United States cares so much about Greenland. Trade routes, natural resources, military positioning, and emerging security threats. Why Greenland? During the Cold War, America's interest in Greenland became much more intense than it had ever been before. The island sits about precisely in the geographical dead center between Washington, D.C. and Moscow, directly along the shortest possible flight path between the United States and the former Soviet Union. America wanted control over Greenland for its security and military reasons because it could enable the U.S. bombers and missiles stationed there to most rapidly attack the Soviet Union. It could also serve as America's front line of defense for detecting a Soviet aerial attack launched against the U.S. mainland. Russia, after seizing control over Crimea in 2014 and later after invading Ukraine, began heavily remilitarize their dormant Soviet-era naval bases in the Arctic to the point where they now significantly outnumber the number of NATO bases in the Arctic. The area has become the center of Russia's strategic nuclear submarine deterrent force. America's long interest in Greenland from a defense perspective became reinforced, but new interests and concerns developed as well. America's interest in defending the Gut Gap is increased in the modern world of the internet and the valuable underwater high-speed cables that connect the world together in the digital realm. Two of these critically important underwater cables pass right by Greenland. The Far North fiber cables that provides direct internet connection between Japan and Europe, and the ones that provides the quickest direct internet connection between Canada and Scandinavia. In theory, Russian submarines are able to pass through the Gut Gap undetected and sabotage the numerous high-speed internet cables that connect the United States to Europe, paralyzing U.S. military forces in Europe. Greenland is a security black hole for the United States and its allies. Obviously, it is challenging to monitor the island properly, especially for a small country like Denmark, who spent decades underspending on their own defense since the end of the Cold War. Denmark continually spent less than 2% of their GDP on defense for decades, until the Russian invasion of Ukraine sparked them to finally raise it back to more than 2% by 2023. Denmark is responsible for Greenland's defense, but it's been a very small force. In 2020, Denmark only had 4 patrol ships, 4 helicopters, 1 single maritime patrol aircraft, and 6 dog sled teams assigned to the whole of Greenland to patrol and defend an area that's roughly the size of Western Europe. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the U.S. government has repeatedly demanded that Denmark to improve their aerial surveillance capabilities over Greenland, and a study in 2022 by the U.S.-based RAND Corporation suggested then that integrating Greenland into the coverage of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, would help to mitigate this. Denmark's grip on Greenland is not just about history. Yes, they have ruled the island for more than 300 years. But this is about power, influence, and survival in a changing world. Greenland transforms Denmark from a small European country into an Arctic giant. Overnight, it makes Denmark nearly 50 times larger on the map. It gives Copenhagen, and by extension, the European Union, its only direct gateway to the Arctic Ocean. And that gateway comes with influence. Influence over shipping routes. Influence over security. Influence over who gets to shape the future of the Arctic. Greenland is also the foundation of Denmark's claim to the geographic North Pole. That claim is fiercely contested by much larger powers like Canada and Russia. And make no mistake, this isn't about national pride or flags on a map. These claims will decide who controls the world's next great trade highways. Because the Arctic is melting. For all of human history, the North Pole has been locked under permanent ice. That era is ending. As climate change accelerates, that ice is shrinking year after year. Within decades, massive cargo ships, guided by nuclear-powered icebreakers, will move freely through waters that were once completely frozen. and Greenland sits right in the middle of it all. It stands between Canada's Northwest Passage and Russia's Northern Sea Route, two corridors that could soon become the backbone of global trade. By the next decade, both routes may be open for most of the year. But there's more. Greenland's eastern coast lies directly along the future Transpolar Sea Route, a path that cuts straight across the North Pole itself. Until now, this route has been impossible to use. Thick ice blocked it even in summer. But by around 2050, analysts believe that barrier could vanish. If that happens, everything changes. The Transpolar Route would become the shortest trade link between Asia, Europe, and the Americas, saving thousands of kilometers and billions of dollars. It could rival, or even surpass, the Suez and Panama Canals in importance. And whoever controls Greenland will hold the best position on Earth to dominate that route. But shipping is only half the story. Beneath Greenland's frozen surface lies one of the greatest untapped treasure troves on the planet. The U.S. Geological Survey tracks 50 minerals critical to America's economy and national security. Today, China dominates nearly half of them. According to the Brookings Institution, China produces around 60% of the world's rare earth elements and controls 85% of their processing. That is not just economic power. That is strategic dominance. Rare earths and critical minerals are essential for fighter jets, missiles, satellites, electric vehicles, and renewable energy systems. They are the building blocks of modern power. And right now, China holds the keys. But Greenland could change that. The island contains known reserves of 43 out of those 50 critical minerals. That includes massive deposits of graphite and lithium, both essential for electric vehicle batteries. China controls 77% of global graphite production. Australia and Chile dominate lithium. Whoever controls Greenland's reserves could rewrite the supply chain overnight. And that alone explains a lot about why figures like Donald Trump and Elon Musk are paying attention. But it doesn't stop there. Greenland is believed to hold vast amounts of neodymium for magnets, thorium for advanced technologies, molybdenum for strengthening steel, and critical base metals like cobalt, copper, nickel, zinc, and iron. In southern Greenland, the Kvanefjeld uranium deposit is believed to be the sixth largest ever discovered. It contains more uranium than the entire United States. And then there's oil and gas. A U.S. Geological Survey estimate suggests Greenland's offshore fields could contain up to 52 billion barrels of oil, about 3% of global reserves. That would place Greenland among the world's top oil holders, on par with Libya. So Greenland is not just ice and isolation, and Trump has been aware of that for quite a long time. This large, isolated island is the new frontier to fight for. It is shipping lanes. It is rare minerals. It is military leverage. It is energy. It is influence. It is the future battlefield of global power. And every major player knows it.